Welcome to Slow News Day Live. My name is Steve Poikinen. I am here in the beautiful Boulder Creek Free State, where the flannel shirt is our state flag, the pit bull is our state bird, and cannabis is our state flower. I'm going to make this a relatively short video. Number one, the fucking camera looks like shit. And number two, I don't like to run over the top of anybody else that has a regular left media show. Ron Placone usually comes on at around 10 o'clock in the morning my time, and I would prefer not to run over his ass. I like Ron. I consider him a friend, if not at least a colleague, and I don't want. I know we share an audience. So last night on the Free Assange Vigil, which you guys should all be watching anyway, but if you're not, Wednesday nights, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific on the Action for Assange YouTube channel, Andrew Smith, Taylor Hudak, Christy Dopp, and I go over the latest calls for action, news on Julian Assange, and we bring in people who are supportive of free speech and whistleblowers and the need for an outlet like WikiLeaks. On last night, we had on Jason Burmis, who has done some of the most incredible work on Epstein around. He also did the 9/11 documentary, Loose Change. That is a great interview, and please check that out. But last night on the vigil, while we were in the course of discussion, it dawned on me that one of the elements missing from the presidential debates has been a fundamental question on what to do about Julian Assange. What would these presidential candidates do about Julian Assange? Taylor Hudak, my co-host from the Free Assange series, wrote a very detailed, very well put together article gathering statements the presidential candidates had made regarding Julian and whistleblowers and the like. That article was chopped to shit and put out in the New York Times by a different author. At any rate, it made me think, given the proximity to the debate night and the fact that the DNC went so goddamn hard out of their way to fuck over Tulsi Gabbard and make sure that she would not be a part of that debate stage. This debate night that's coming up, is set up to be the perfect opportunity for the DNC to get the Julian Assange question out of the way while having no one on stage who is supportive to him, to WikiLeaks, or to whistleblowers in general. Bernie Sanders has this milquetoast statement out, not mentioning Julian Assange by name, just saying the Trump administration doesn't get to decide what is and isn't journalism. Which is all well and good, but the extradition warrant was drawn up before Donald Trump was elected. Donald Trump is just following through with what the Obama administration was unwilling to do because it was resulted in something they referred to as the New York Times problem, which was if they prosecute Assange under the Espionage Act, any publisher of any outlet, regardless of whether or not they're an American outlet, is subject to espionage charges and could be incarcerated, if not indefinitely, for any number of years, based solely on the fact that they printed something the government didn't like at the time. So I would like to pose that question to you guys in the chat and watching the show. If you watch this after the fact, please go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section. But tell me what you think. Do you think the conditions are right for the DNC to slip in this question about Julian Assange now that they have successfully prevented Tulsi from being a part of this debate stage? In my opinion, if ever they were going to address it, it would be now when they have the only person who has said, hell yes, I would free Julian Assange. Hell yes, I would pardon Julian Assange. Hell yes, Chelsea Manning and Edward Snowden are heroes, and Julian Assange deserves his freedom. Without her there, without that element there, without that one lone voice of sanity regarding Julian Assange, it seems like it would be a great chance for them to further discredit whistleblowers, further discredit the character of Julian Assange. Because remember, um, nobody goes after the veracity of the information published by WikiLeaks ever. They tried once during 2016, and it blew up so badly in their face that they publicly backtracked from ever trying to link Russia and WikiLeaks again. And in fact, when they sued over it, it was dismissed with prejudice by a judge who was a Clinton appointed judge. So there wasn't any kind of partisan conflict there. Is this thing running slow? I know that there's Sunbeam and it's making it look weird, and I apologize for that. I can't really do anything about that. Sure, it'll be foreign policy since Tulsi isn't there to show them up. Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, Diggo, and that's what is leading me to believe that the Assange question will come into play tonight. Because again, if you look at the statements that Tulsi Gabbard has made regarding Julian Assange, they're many and they're all positive, which I don't believe is something that the DNC wants to allow on any of their stages. Let me see if I can't pull up a statement or two about that Tulsi's made recently. There's press clubs. This is fun. There we go. And the action for Assange website is still down. That's great. Okay, so here we go. On June 15th of this year, or June 5th of this year, Tulsi Gabbard posted a video on Twitter saying charging Assange under the Espionage Act will have a serious chilling effect on our most fundamental rights of freedom of speech and freedom of the press. Every American, certainly every journalist, must strongly condemn this anti-democratic act by the Trump administration, which is perfectly fine. On Joe Rogan, she said there's not an actual channel for whistleblowers like them to bring forward information that exposes egregious abuses of our constitutional rights and liberties, period, which is true. The lack of WikiLeaks means there's no space for whistleblowers to safely operate. I talked yesterday on the Free Assange Vigil about, or maybe it was on this show, how far south the Intercept has gone with people like Jeremy Scahill who exist to just burn sources. The Guardian, we discussed this on the Vigil last night. The Guardian has been exposed to have been completely compromised over a number of years by MI5 and the CIA, ostensibly becoming a clearinghouse for disinformation and propaganda that MI5 and the CIA want dispensed. I agree, Kat. The debate is bullshit. And Muscal, I enjoy some of the Intercept's writers. I enjoy one of the Intercept's co-founders. But Pierre Omadad is not someone that I think has journalism's best intentions in mind or truth's best intentions in mind. But Glenn Greenwald, through the Intercept, has done fascinating, groundbreaking, informative, and necessary reporting. And the only reason he co-founded the Intercept in the first place is because the Guardian had turned out to be an outlet that burns journalists. Look no further than Mueller refusing to interview Assange, who could have made a deal with him. But you're absolutely right, Anthony. You're absolutely right. If anyone that you know is still trying to push this Russiagate bullshit, all you have to do is what Anthony just said in that chat right there. Why the fuck didn't Robert Mueller interview Julian Assange? If WikiLeaks, through people like Roger Stone and fucking all these other Paul Manafort and all these other idiots that people were suggesting had communications back channels to Julian Assange. If that was the case, why wouldn't Robert Mueller want to interview him? He's the linchpin to this whole thing, and they've got access to him. At the time, he was holed up in the Ecuadorian embassy in London. He wasn't going anywhere. 2,600 cameras on that fucking building. He's not slipping away. Now, currently, Belmarsh prison. It's not like he was hard to find. If Robert Mueller was hired to do the job of getting to the bottom of this, he failed miserably. If Robert Mueller was hired to promote a propaganda campaign that would discredit Donald Trump, he failed miserably. The only thing that Robert Mueller did successfully was burn a lot of bridges, not just in the Republican Party, but in the Democratic Party, and gave Trump and just an enormous boost, justification, and ground to stand on in terms of, I'm the most persecuted person ever to run for president ever on the face of the planet. Yes, Li Fang is a liar and a creep. I don't even know what that came from, but you're right. The Intercept, I'm not saying the whole Intercept is full of CIA, Quinn. I'm not, but I will say unequivocally that Jeremy Scahill burned sources like I burn weed. And that's bad enough. Honestly, that's bad enough. WMD Mueller, Jeff Edelman. Yes, you're absolutely right. Did you know that Robert Mueller was named director of the FBI less than a week before the September 11th attacks? And then immediately became instrumental in both the cover-up of the attacks as well as promoting the propaganda, as Jeff said, the WMD, that allowed us all of these illegal wars under all of these false pretenses. What sources do I like? Like I said, I enjoy Glenn Greenwald's reporting. I do. I'm not knocking the entirety of the Intercept, Muscal. Please don't think I am. Jeremy Scahill in particular is he's noted for having burned 3 sources in the last 2 years. Like, that's how he's recognized in the journalistic community now, is as someone who burns sources. He cannot be trusted regardless of whether or not you enjoy his prose. You can enjoy his prose, Muscal, just fine. Never fucking go to him if you become a whistleblower. That's all I'm saying. And yeah, that's a great point about Li Fang. Quinn tends to believe the MSM in the worst times. Absolutely true. Li Fang will cape for the establishment after spending a month making the case against it to rack up his clicks and visibility. Another guy that does that same shit is just one of the most worthless fucks on the planet is Jeff goddamn Campbell. And I can't believe that both Florida Democrats and news outlets haven't seen through the just piles of bullshit and piles of rat fuckery that make up the man that is Jeff Campbell. Yeah, that Mr. Spinks, that whole lack of fun shit. Intercept shut down the Snowden server because of lack of funds. You know that's bullshit. I know that's bullshit. What it did though is it signaled to the rest of the journalistic community and independent media that you do not have a safe haven here anymore, and that was very, very intentional and deliberate. It's a lot like The Guardian allowing Luke Harding to publish the massive pieces of propaganda that he did. Yes, Pierre Omadad. Yeah, that's the billionaire that owns the Intercept. And fuck, dude, he owned an even worse outlet before that, and I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. I love getting my news from Fox and Fox Business. You know what? If you really want to keep your eye on the oligarchy, Fox Business is a great place to do that. CNBC Business is a great place to do that. The editorial page of the Wall Street Journal is a great place to do that. Because it allows you to see the kind of spin that billionaires are giving each other. It gives you access to the spaces you wouldn't ordinarily be allowed in being a fucking peasant. No, a billionaire company is not going out of business, Quinn. That's not. A billionaire company has shifted interests and decided that this particular way of either making money or funneling propaganda isn't working out the way that they wanted it to work out. That is what I'm gonna guess. At least in Think Progress's case, it was a clear-cut issue of Neera Tanden trying to make sure that the radical leftists, as she referred to them in an email to John Podesta, didn't have access to that outlet during, full-on primary season. Bob Remersa, I hear talk in financial circles that population reduction is the answer to income inequality, and negative interest rates are where they have started. You know what? They're in the more Austrian schools of economics, Bob, that is certainly the case. The people who tend to push austerity are doing so to drive population control. If you find people on the right wing that will acknowledge climate change, they will almost to a person couch it in well, yeah, we're having this man-made climate change, but it's only because there's too many people on the planet, and population reduction is always a dog whistle for let's murder some black and brown people. It is fucking disgusting. It is absolutely abhorrent, and business as usual for the moneyed interests in this party. Yes, Karen, Agenda 21. That is frighteningly absolutely correct. I believe that the Agenda 21 is part of the reason that we've seen such an uptick in man-made fires and natural disasters, why we've seen such a push for the complete urbanization of the country. And I think that as we see more and more coastal climate refugees, what's laid out in Agenda 21 will bear more reality than just like, the fucking Alex Jones talking points or whatever. But at any rate, it is 9:56 by my clock. I will be back after Ron Placone's show because, again, I do not like to roll over other content creators that I consider friends. You would love a Hobbit home. Dingo, I built 3. I built 3 Hobbit houses. One of them, I believe, is still standing at the Minnesota Renaissance Festival. So I will be back around 11 Pacific or slightly after. This has been Slow News Day. Please hit the like button and subscribe to the show if you have not. If you are currently supporting independent media and would like to support this show as well, you can do so by going to patreon.com/slownewsday. There is no donation amount, no tiered donation. It's a give it what you can basis, and for that I get to produce better shows and run off a batch of merch for you guys, and then we will go from there. Small goals, attainable goals that we can hit, and then we'll go on to bigger and better things together. Until next time, this has been Slow News Day. I'm Steve Poikinen, and good luck to us all. Oh, come on, you little asshole. This is fucking fascinating. Wild.